Today's topic may not be very sexy, but it's something the RV community and the RV industry as a whole should pay attention to. Welcome to HBRV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Now, I want to start out by saying I'm sorry I'm so congested. My throat, my nose, it feels like 2-ton Tessie, the elephant, is sitting on my head. It's crazy. But before I get into this, I have two quick announcements. Number one, I did go and get a P.O. box. It was something a lot of you recommended to me because a lot of you would like to send me letters and things of that nature. So I do have a P.O. box now. I'm going to put that address in the description box below. Realistically, I might check it once every 2 days because I'm just traveling around a lot so far. And number two is I canceled my flight and my plans to go to the Portland, Oregon show. It looks like this election is going to really drag because there's just so many rules and regulations. I don't think it's going to get settled before the show gets started. But I will be at Tampa Bay. And if anybody's nice enough to lend me a room instead of me staying in a hotel room, I would appreciate it. Email me if you live by the Tampa Bay area and you're willing to let me bunk there for a day or two. Okay, let's get started. First off, let me preface this that a lot of you have mentioned this over the last 6 months, but I got a detailed email from a fan that detailed everything about bunk bed safety. Now, that doesn't sound very sexy, but when you think about it, and when I think about it, it is actually a legitimate complaint. And here's what I mean by that. So my daughters live in the Keystone Cougar fifth wheel that we own, and there's bunk beds in the bunk room. My daughter Joanna likes to sleep on the top bunk. But there's no safety strap. There's no safety element to prevent her from falling off the bunk. And it's not a full-size bunk. It's like a little bigger than a twin. So just imagine she falls off the bunk bed and hits her head. There's no rail system. There's no safety feature for bunk beds. Now, what is interesting is you go into a lot of bunk models on travel trailers or fifth wheels or toy haulers, and the manufacturer doesn't supply a ladder because of safety concerns. Weird. You don't want to supply a ladder on an RV, but you don't want to put a safety device for kids to not fall out of the bed. So what I'm going to do is in that email, they sent this person sent a link that I read through that's actually a federal law about bunk beds and rail safety for bunk beds. And for whatever reason, the RV industry does not follow these guidelines or does not have to follow these guidelines. So that is something I'm going to bring up with the NHTSA. I know a lot of you are already on board with, obviously frame failure, frame flex. But what if getting to the NHTSA with something as simple as bunk safety was a priority? What if that was a starting point to other safety hazards that may or may not be reported by people on RVs? Okay. Here's another thing that most people don't realize. Those solid steps, those fold-in steps, are actually very dangerous for kids. Give you a great story about it. Well, it's not a great story, but I'll give you a story about it. My daughter Brenda was maybe 6-7 years old, and she was coming out of a Columbus fifth wheel at the RVIA show in Pomona, California. And she coming out, because there's no rail safety for a kid to hold while she walks down the stairs, she fell face first and chipped a tooth. Face planted. To me, after reading that email and kind of going through like some of my old videos, I realized that the RV industry does not care about children's safety. I didn't really realize it because you don't really think about those things. It's something that was embedded in my mind for so long that realistically, they do not build these travel trailers or these fifth wheels or these motorhomes with the safety of children in mind. They build them for adults, even though they might have bunk beds, even though they might be trying to get the message out that they want families to go build memories. If you go look at every little thing, like where they place light sockets, where they place furnace vents, where they place certain things, the way they operate things, the way they put components together, they don't really child-proof a travel trailer or a motorhome or fifth wheel or toy hauler. It's kind of helter-skelter. I mean, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments section. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments section. I think this would start a very good conversation. We all have talked about frame failure / frame flex / brake safety / suspension, but we haven't talked about child safety. Isn't that crazy? Now, what's interesting is I did go through these Facebook groups that have talked about things like this, but it really never got talked about on YouTube very much. Very interesting. So what I'm going to do is over the next 3 months is I'm going to get with some guys at the RV factory level and the RV vendor level, and I'm going to see if I can come up with some product or ideas to actually help with the safety of the bunk bed. Now, one of the ways they do it on a Class A motorhome is they put the netting. If you go look at Class C or Class A motorhome that has the overhead bunk, it has netting that like safety straps in for somebody that wants to sleep on the top. But you don't see that in a lot of towables. You don't see that in the lofts of some of these fifth wheels or park models. So just something to keep in mind. I know I'm going to have a short episode here, but it was just something that kind of like came to the forefront of my mind. Till next time, toolkit and sense of humor.